Hello, and welcome to my channel. It's been 2 weeks since my last video. It's been too long. Just been contemplating on what to do. And here's my answer. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do an Oscar recap and just talking about each category, and I'm giving some feedback. I'm also presenting you my personal choices in this category with my own nominees. Yeah, I'm also just briefly commenting on my predictions. They weren't as good as last year. Last year I got like 19 out of 23, and this year only 17 out of 24. Took some swings, they didn't pay off. Should have gone safe, but that's just what happens. So that's how the game works today. I'm only doing the below the line categories today. So this is going to be song, score, sound, editing, makeup and hair, costume, production design, visual effects, cinematography, and casting. Yeah, so let's start with the original song category. And at the Oscars, as predicted, as expected, Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters won. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's not my favorite song of the movie actually. There were, in my eyes, better songs than Golden, but what's safe to say that it's the first time actually in a while that a song of a movie was that popular, because I'm still hearing it everywhere, to be fair. Yeah, and with my nominees, some of them are quite similar to the Oscars, some not, some just my personal picks, and maybe you will get to know some movies you haven't seen this year. Just for a bit of context, I've seen about 90 to 2025 releases. Yeah, so my nominees for Best Original Song are Our Love from the Ballad of Wallace Island, I Lie to You from Sinners, Pale Pale Moon from Sinners, Hunger and Thirst from the Testament of Anne Lee, and Train Dreams from Train Dreams. So actually I have 2 nominees that were nominated at the Oscars as well. Yeah, I really wanted to include a song from the Ballad of Wallace Island. I really like those songs, and it's a very small movie, very small British movie. It got nominated at the BAFTAs as well, and I really recommend watching it. It's a fun watch. It's story-wise nothing out of the ordinary, but the songs are amazing. And obviously 2 songs from Sinners. I mean, could have picked some more from Sinners, because I think they're all amazing, they're all good. But especially Pale Pale Moon is one of my favorite songs. And just yesterday I happened to watch the Testament of Anne Lee, and I've been singing Hunger and Thirst for the past 24 hours. It's I don't know, it just doesn't go out of my head. I feel like Anne Lee is following me into my mind. Because I think that's the only nomination I gave it after watching it yesterday. I still don't know what to think about the Testament of Anne Lee, to be fair. It's, to be quite honest, one of the weirdest movies I've seen in a while, because I mean, appreciate this weirdness. I think the songs are brilliant. I think the songs are probably the best part of the movie, and but it felt so disturbing. I think the editing was very, very highly paced, quite quick, cutting back and forth to camera perspective, which I'm not a big fan of. Sorry, Marty Supreme. And I really like smooth editing, and that was quite disturbing for me personally. And also that this narrator was actually, it felt like the narrator was reading of a Wikipedia article. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but that was, yeah. Because on the other hand, the narrator in Train Dreams, speaking of Train Dreams, that's something I actually think really worked, because that's like a poetic way of storytelling, and I just didn't see that in the material of The Life of Anne Lee. Yeah. I would personally say that my winner, if I had to choose one, would be I Lied to You, because I think that's also connected to the scene of the year, and I really wish it would have won the Oscar. It's one of the, I think it's one of the best edited, constructed scenes with a song I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. So let's move on to original score. So obviously Sinners won the award here at the Oscars, as expected. Very well deserved. We have our new regular winner of the original score Oscar, Ludwig Göransson, and he's going to win probably next year again, because he's the composer of the score for The Odyssey, the new movie by Christopher Nolan. So yeah, my personal nominees are Begonia by Jaskin Fendrix, Hedda by Hildur Gudnadottir, J. Kelly by Nicholas Petrell, Marty Supreme by Daniel Lopatin, and One Battle After Another by Johnny Greenwood. So yet again, I going 2 for 5 with the Oscars here. Score, I sometimes have a bit of a, I would say, peculiar weird taste, because I really like a score that's quite haunting, and that's really staying with me as I'm watching. Because if I can remember the score after watching the film, that's when I say it was good. And I think this especially works for Begonia, Marty Supreme, and One Battle After Another, because those 3 scores, they just stay with you all the time. And I was especially very happy for the Oscars to nominate Begonia. And yeah, what I was always telling myself as soon as I listened to the Marty Supreme score, it was that it was never going to get nominated at the Oscars, because the score branch is a very odd branch, to be fair. They usually just go for their typical orchestral scores. If you're not the best picture frontrunner like One Battle or Sinners. And then I just decided to go out there for 2 different scores I actually enjoyed a lot, and that was the score of Hedda. Because after watching it, I always had it in my mind too, and I just love a very jazzy score that's a bit out there, that's a bit different from other scores, I'd say so. And there we have it. It's also the only nomination, but I admit I like J. Kelly. I'm one of those who actually enjoyed it. And yeah, I mean, it's enjoyable to watch George Clooney basically playing himself. And I also love Nicholas Petrel as a composer. I think his scores of Moonlight or even Don't Look Up is a terrible movie, to be honest, but the score was great. And yeah, and so is the score for Jay Kelly. I liked it, I liked the film, but it's like, and I wanted to make room in at least one category to get it nominated, and to be honest, that was the only category I could actually find room for it, with 5 nominees. And then move on to Best Sound. Yeah, well, F1 won the Oscar for Best Sound. That's not going to happen with me. I'm not the one who hears cars and then I be like, oh yeah, great sound. Because I actually think that the score and the sound in F1, they actually had a bit of a fight inside the movie. Because sometimes I wasn't sure if I was actually listening to the sound or to the score. Yeah, something I don't like personally. And my personal nominees for Best Sound are Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I nominated this because actually went to IMAX with my partner, and I think the sound is fantastic. I think when it comes to sound, stunts, VFX, Mission Impossible films are really exquisite and very accurate, and I think that works just really well. Sinners, same, because I with sound I go a bit with when I was watching it, if I noticed the sound work, and I think with Sinners, especially as soon as the party starts, the songs, they are so well edited, and especially the sound transition scenes when a song ends, it was just perfectly done. And then Sirât, I mean, what an experience. If you don't nominate that for sound, you simply haven't seen it. Because I I was actually thinking of nominating it for score as well, but then I didn't, because I more noticed the sound than the score, and then I couldn't make a difference between what sound and what scores. It's kind of with Sinners where I was always thinking about the songs and the sound, not about the score, even though the score is amazing, don't get me wrong. And then a special nominee, Sound of Falling. I mean, for the few souls who have seen this German movie who premiered at Cannes last year, when it comes to sound editing, I don't think it gets any better than this. Some scenes are so hauntingly edited when it comes to sound. And surprise nominee, Weapons for Sound. As I've said, I just go with what sound do I remember the most when I was watching it for the first time, and watching Weapons, I think the jump scares really, really worked very well on a sound level, and that's why I picked Weapons. Personally, my winner here would be, I would say, Sinners. I think the sound work is, it doesn't get any better than this, and they had so much to do. The dialogue, the music, the transitions, it's just perfect. Visual effects, I'm just going to be honest here. It's probably the category where I have the least knowledge, and I'm trying to get into it. The thing is just, I am not. How would I say that? How would I put that? I'm just not of an action movie or superhero movie fan. That's probably also the reason why I don't have very much of an expertise when it comes to VFX. And well, obviously Avatar won. So, because I don't know a lot about VFX, but what I can see is that Avatar is definitely the most VFX and the most developed. That's actually to the point where I'm not noticing the VFX anymore. So yeah, my nominees obviously Avatar, Fire and Ash. F1, because I was reading an article about the bake-off they had before the Oscars, and I was actually quite impressed that there are so many VFX in scenes where I didn't know it was actually VFX. I thought it was real, and that actually speaks to the quality of the VFX. Then I also think sometimes animated films with VFX also plays a big part in it. That's why I nominated Little Amelie or the character of Rain. I think if they were VFX, now we're discussing if it was VFX or not, but I guess so. I think it was just so smooth and how they edited the scenes together. That was just beautiful. Mickey 17, amazing VFX in my opinion. Like, really, the world building, the twins, all the things they did was so smoothly done, I think. And as I've said before, Mission Impossible movies have great stunts, great VFX, great sound. Nomination saved, in my opinion. And I would go with Mickey 17. Because this world they built in that film was just magnificent and beautiful to look at, and the way they did it with the twins, with the two Robert Pattinsons, it was just fantastic. Yeah, makeup and hair obviously won by Frankenstein. I am not the biggest fan of the creature makeup. I think it looked a little too how should I say that? It looked too smooth. I expected a little bit of more very rough makeup. And yeah. So my nominees are 28 years later. Now I'm just going to briefly admit I think this is a category that actually should belong to horror movies, because when you watch horror movies, it's so much about makeup. And the makeup of the zombies in 28 years later is absolutely stunning. Then Hedda, I do love my period movie in there, especially when it comes to hairstyling, because the hairstyling in that film, lovely. Kokoro was nominated at the Oscars too, and after seeing that it was nominated, I went and watched it, and the makeup really is amazing, because they actually do. So the actors in the film actually do themselves makeup as well in some scenes, and I actually recommend you watching it. I mean, it's nearly a 3-hour movie. It's quite long, but it's about this acting art called. So yeah, it's actually about this art called kabuki, and I don't think that's a spoiler. So actually, men, they dress up as women, and that's why they do makeup. Also, the men in the plays they are playing are doing makeup, and I just think that was it's so important actually for the film, and it was so well done. Yeah. And then obviously The Ugly Stepsisters. So what an inspired nomination by the Oscars. For once they got it right. And Very happy the makeup branch decided to nominate this gore horror movie, like this horror Cinderella story from Scandinavia. Actually, really recommend watching it if you can take some gore effects, and you should definitely watch it. It's gross as hell. I think it's the most gross movie I have seen last year. Really. I nearly had to puke. And lastly, Weapons should have been nominated at the Oscar. Amy Madigan, thank God, still won supporting actress. And I mean, let alone the makeup on her, it's iconic. I mean, it's not. We can actually discuss if it's well made, but it's memorable. Just couldn't stop thinking. It's part of this character they created when they created Aunt Gladys. The wig, the makeup. It's just iconic. What should I say? And also, like the kids that were running as well. I think some of the kids, and they also had to do blood makeup on other people, and that was really well done. So, very deserved nomination. If I had to vote here, I would go with 28 Years Later. I think it was what they did on the zombies was just so impressive. Like, I actually at first I thought it was pure VFX, and then later I found out it was actually makeup, and I was like, holy shit. Moving on to Best Costume Design, another Frankenstein category at the Oscars. Yeah, they love their period films. I do too, my dear Oscars. But sometimes it's nice to share the love, like I try to do it. So my nominees for Best Costume Design are Frankenstein. Not me just complaining about them giving the Oscar to Frankenstein, then me nominating it myself. But it's a very well-deserved nomination. I think the costumes were stunning. Especially love the costume on the creature. Great. Such a great idea to do it this way. And actually also saw some sketches of Kate Hawley drawing the costumes. I was like, damn, that's impressive. Hedda, another period film, but come on, the costumes are amazing. Yeah, you're going to see Hedda a lot probably in my 2 videos. I'm one of the only people who actually absolutely loved that film. I think there's so many things that are absolutely fantastic in Hedda. The writing, the character building, the use of Ibsen's story, the acting. I think just everything worked. And it could have been a huge awards player, but I don't know what Amazon MGM did. They just completely messed the campaign up. They started campaigning way too late, and well, we know how it works with campaigning. When it's too late, it's too late, and then yeah, you're not going to get a grasp anymore, sadly. And I'm still hoping for physical media release, so Amazon MGM, if you by any chance of watching my movie, I want a Blu-ray of Hedda, please. Also, for my watchers at home, watch Hedda. It's for free on Prime Video. Kokoro, beautiful costuming. As I've said, with Kabuki, there's the costumes and the makeup. How could you ignore that? And then The Secret Agent. Beautiful 70s period costumes. Very fitting for this Brazilian style. And actually remembered loads of the costumes after watching it. And Sinners. What a deserved nomination. I think the costumes in Sinners are stunning. Every character just looks. I think every costume, it was just so fitting to every character, and obviously Ruthie Carter is a legend, so always got to nominate a legend. Moving on to production design, another Frankenstein win at the Oscars, 3 Oscars for Frankenstein. Yeah, I mean, what else do you expect from a Del Toro movie? Del Toro movies love great production design, but we're going to spread the love here. Oh, actually forgot something. I would vote for... Actually quite difficult. I think I'd actually vote... I would say I would give the win here to Kokoro. I think that's the best costume design. It was such an amazing variety of costumes. Production design. So my nominees are Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Mickey 17, and No Other Choice. As you can see here with Begonia, No Other Choice, yes, I do love my house building production design. I think if a film is so dependent on one location, this location needs to be perfect. And for both Begonia and No Other Choice, I think the house they build, because I at least know with Begonia for sure that they actually had to build this house, they had to construct it, and it's so... It's insane what they did. Like the two men living there, it just felt so real, and they just all this whole world building that goes with the house, and the same for No Other Choice, where this house is so massively important for the story, and I just think that's way harder actually to do when you have so many different sets. Like Frankenstein are still nominated because I think the sets are actually some of the best stuff in the film. Is the production design. It's immaculate, but there's so many different sets, and with Begonia No Other Choice there's so much of the film actually, especially Begonia, fixed on one location, and I think if you do that, this location needs to be perfect. And then Mickey 17, also stunning production design. I'm usually not into sci-fi, but that was beautiful, beautifully done. And then Hamnet, and actually saying it, I think Hamnet has the best production design. I could not believe it when I heard that they actually reconstructed the Globe Theatre. I mean, what? I have been there before. That looked so real. I couldn't believe my eyes when I read that they actually reconstructed the globe and the whole village they built. I think it's, yeah, this is fantastic production design. And then editing. I have strong opinions in editing. I've just briefly touched on it. I don't like quickly or fast-paced editing. It makes me dizzy, and that's why I didn't like the Marty Supreme edit. And then it was actually my first Safdie movie, and then after that I found out that all the Safdie movies are edited like this, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to enjoy that. I think editing needs to be smooth. Or flashy and smooth. Because I love a flashy editing. So, yeah, actually one battle after another one here. And that was, well deserved. My nominees are The Mastermind by Kelly Reichardt. Beautiful. No Other Choice. One Battle After Another. Sentimental Value. And Sound of Falling. So, now, I mean, I think especially non-thriller or non-action films very, very, very hard to edit. And I think the editing very much goes unnoticed in most cases, and that's why they usually have a harder time to make it into the Oscar 5. I mean, best example, F1, action movie, cars, fast editing. I mean, noticeable editing, and usually they like to go for the most editing. I don't think so. That's actually how you should vote on this category, but it's up for discussion. So the reason I went for the Mastermind, okay, maybe I'm a bit biased with Kelly Reichardt. It's like either you love her movies or I don't want to say you hate them, but you don't like them. I mean, it's slow cinema, but with slow cinema, what's so important is the editing, and she does the editing by herself, which is even more impressive, because there's usually this one scene in a Reichardt movie that feels like an hour long, but there's so much to unfold, so much to discover when it comes to character building and to the narration of the story, and I just think she needs to be honored, and I really hope that one day the Oscar will be like, yeah, we will nominate the Kelly Reichardt movie for once in a lifetime. Yeah, no other choice, one of the best editing of the year. I mean, come on. That editing was just insane. Some of the transitions, I've never seen something like that before. And then one battle after another, of course. I mean, I think I've said that in one of my previous videos, that this movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. It feels like a 90-minute movie. It's one of the best edited films I have ever seen. It's so smooth, it's incredible. And then Sentimental Value. Yeah. The Oscar nominated too was actually unexpected. I actually was betting on it to be nominated because I think the editing was too good to not to be nominated. I think here actually you can even see better in detail how hard it is to edit a drama, because you gotta find the right cuts at the right time, make the cut to a face at the right time, expressing the right emotion that the director or the writer are describing in that scene and want to attend. And that's so hard, and actually some people criticize Sentimental Value when it comes to the editing because of those cuts to black, and I think those cuts to black was one of the best choices the editor could have done, because it always gave me this pause to think about each scene was actually happening, and it's something I just love to it's something I love to do while watching it. And at first I was so like, cut to black? That's unusual, but sometimes the unusual is great. And then, yeah, you're going to see Sound of Falling a couple of times with my nominations. I think the editing is one of the best of the year, especially because Sound of Falling is a fragmented storytelling that is telling a story across a period of, I think, over 100 years, and it's not told in a linear way, it's told in a non-linear way, and the editing, yeah, that's when you need editing, because actually you need fluent transitions if you're going from one story back into the other story, and that's something the editors just did so incredibly well. I think it's probably the best editing I've seen in a non-linear storytelling, because there was at some point you didn't even notice when they went back to a different point of the story, and then there was just, it got me confused at times, but in a good way, because I want to be challenged sometimes. And yeah, my vote would go to One Battle After Another. Not gonna lie. Smooth editing to the front. Cinematography. So we had an unexpected winner here. Sinners won. First female cinematographer to win an Oscar. Woohoo! Women to the front. So my personal nominees are Begonia, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, Sound of Falling, and Train Dreams. So, when it comes to cinematography, I also have a very distinctive taste. I like cinematography to be different. I have a very distinctive taste when it comes to filming conversations. I am not a big fan of too many close-ups, especially when two people are talking to each other. So I nominated Begonia. I mean, especially, I think Lanthimos movies have fantastic cinematography. If I think back to watching The Favorite for the first time, the fisheye perspective, I was like, this is innovative, this is cinema. And yeah, the cinematography of Begonias, it's like, there were so many scenes when they were just filming from a wide angle, and then the camera movement just went from left to right, and I was like, oh my god. And they also just like One Battle After Another, they shot this on VistaVision, and I think VistaVision is just, it's the future. Movies shot on VistaVision just look better. And the reason why I nominated One Battle, like the Oscars did, it's because of that car scene at the end. If you've seen it, you know. That's one of the best cinematography I've ever seen. That car chase scene at the end. Wow. Yeah. I think the cinematography in Sentimental Value is very much underrated. Didn't see loads of people actually talking about this, because it goes very quietly unnoticeable. That's so well done. But I think especially when it comes to the perspective of the house, when I was watching it for the first time, I was like, damn, that's freaking amazing cinematography, taking the perspective of the house. Talking of innovative, Sound of Falling, please, if you have the opportunity, watch that film. The cinematography was just insane. There's some perspectives, even, I mean, just to give an example, there's a perspective when we see through a character's eyes laying on top of a bench, and the camera is the other way around. I was like, what? How did they do that? How did they film that? Yeah, that's what I meant when I was talking about flashy cinematography. That's flashy, and I love it. And of course, Train Dreams needs to be here. Stunning, especially when it comes to framing. Some of the frames, they look like paintings. I literally couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, that looks like a painting. It was pure photography at times. And how could you not nominate that when it's so beautiful that you could actually just cut it out and you just want this in your living room forever? Oh, yeah. So my winner would be A Sound of Falling. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is my cinematography winner. Flashy, innovative, different, everything I want to see in a film. So, coming to the last category for today's video, best casting. It was actually the first time that we had this category at the Oscars, and we had an unexpected winner. It was one battle after another. So many people, including me, thought it was Sinners. Well, we failed, but if it is, I think I've said that in my prediction video, if we have a new category, we don't have any evidence, so we just going on by vibes, because we actually don't know how they're voting on it. Well, we still don't know how they're voting on it, because there will be now so many people saying, yeah, might be correlated to Best Picture, but we are far from saying that with clear evidence that it is the case. And yeah, but now when it comes to my personal nominees, I do have a different idea of what casting means than probably the Oscars had, because I try to make a difference between ensemble and casting. So my nominees are It Was Just an Accident. I mean, come on. How could you not nominate that for casting? Jafar Panahi literally had to contact actors in secret, and the way he casted them, they were all perfect for each role. That's an achievement. I'm already saying that's probably my winner, because it's phenomenal. How did he do that? Nouvelle, amazing casting too. Like so many unknown actors, Linklater and his casting director had to cast. I mean, if I especially think about the one who's playing Jean-Luc Godard. Wow. I was like, I've never seen this actor before. And I don't like biopics, but I really thought that was good. Then The Plague. I think there has to be a film with child actors when it comes to casting, so that's why I really understood why they nominated Hamnet. But with The Plague, I think the task was even harder to find that many children for that film, and some of them are absolutely incredible when it comes to their acting skills. I was like, how did they find them? How can they be so convincing? Then The Secret Agent. I think here it is the mix between a well-established actor as Wagner Moura and so many non-professional actors in between. I mean, Tania Maria as Donna Sebastiana. Where did she come from? What a performance! And I think the casting director here just did such a perfect job to cast a perfect character that was exactly fitting in this exact scene. And then, of course, Weapons, which should have been nominated at the Oscar too, because if you are well informed, they actually had to change the whole cast for Weapons, because so many people, was that after the writer's strike? What happened? Yeah, because I've definitely read that they had to change the whole cast, and how successful did they do that? Because with all the children in it and Amy Madigan, wow, that's definitely something that needs to be honored and respected, what they did here. And yeah, just a few recommendations. I mean, I think The Plague is something you should watch if you have the opportunity. Yeah, I think you shouldn't watch it if you've had experience with bullying at school, because it can be quite haunting, to be fair. And Nouvelle Vague, as I've said, I'm probably one of the most biopic disliker in this whole world, and I love Nouvelle Vague, so it's a black and white movie. Maybe that's why I liked it. I love black and white movies. Yeah, but as I've said, my personal winner was just an accident. How the hell did Jeff Up and I do that to cast all those actors spot on and perfectly for that role? Yeah, so that was the first part of my Oscar recap and my own nominees video. Hope you had fun. Please subscribe and see you next week. Bye.